Now I'm going to talk to you about the drone flutes. First of all, their history. They originate with the Maya culture. Now these instruments were originally made out of clay, and they date back to 300 to 700 AD. They're also known as flauta vibradoras, or vibrating flutes, in museum collections. If you go to museums and say you're in Mexico, that's the way they'll be described, because they do kind of have a beat, what they call a beat frequency, or they have a oscillation between two notes, and gives kind of a vibrato sound. So this could easily be a beginner flute, because basically you have a single flute and then you have the drone. Now this is the traditional style, side by side. The V shape is more of what we call a solar style flute. These were ceremonial flutes that were used to greet the sun, and they actually had marbles inside of them. These are completely handmade, all one piece. And so let me just show you how they're done. So first thing to do is, if you play on the left, you'll hear the drone, and the right should be the flute. And so for me, I don't like to play the drone the whole time. You should learn to go back and forth and use it as a way of enhancing some of your playing. So I'll just play a little bit here. So there you go, the Maya flute, the drone. People have been asking me about this type of flute, the Teotihuacan, which is what I call it, because I think it's important to recognize where these instruments come from. This flute originates from Teotihuacan culture, which is in the Mexico City area, 300 to 700 AD as well. These also were ceramic, and they also came in triple and quadruple configurations. I learned to make these first in clay, and actually, interesting story, is that I apprenticed under Javier Shayo, and when I first met him, one of the very first flutes he gave me was one like this, and extremely heavy, and that's what I learned to play on. And I was just kind of intrigued with the sounds that you got by playing the two flutes together. So now I get to the opportunity to show people how to play it. So basically, you have two flutes, one on each hand. This one's an E-B. So what I'm going to do first, and you have also thumb holes on the back. So we're just going to play the right side first, the left side. And you notice I didn't keep any fingers down. And the right side. So in learning this, I think it's important to keep your thumbs down and not try to utilize them at first. Just stay with the top three notes. You can hear the nice harmonics that you get, and we'll just play the left side. You just want to get used to that, the movements, the finger movements on that side. And now we'll repeat that on the right side. Also, one thing before we get into that other, you can also hold it between your legs like this if you like. And that'll help take the weight off. And but I'm kind of used to it, so I'm going to do it without it. And we'll do slow movements on the left and very slow movements on the right. And then we'll switch it. You can see they're quite magical. And interesting things about these, they work very much like the brain. That fifth, parallel fifths, is very much the way the brain works. The electrical impulses that the brain puts out are in parallel fifths as well. And it's what controls body movement and, everything basically. And so this was something I heard on a radio program, actually, a neurosurgeon talking about his interest in the electrical impulses of the brain, and he found that out. And so it's quite interesting that these instruments also work in that principle. And these were used as transition instruments. They were used to transition the soul of someone that had passed on into the spirit world. And so these were reserved only for the elite, something that not everyone would ever get to hear. So they're temple flutes. And so that's important to remember that and keep that reverence in having these instruments and knowing the origins of these instruments. I know they're cool to have, but you should understand what you have. I think that's very important. It's something my teacher always told me, the reverence of the instruments and where they come from and how to use them properly. Okay, enjoy.